What is up, Hellions, and welcome to another video. Unfortunately, this is not a I bought an amazing collection video. We just had one of those a couple weeks ago. This this video is I royally screwed up, and here's how I royally screwed up. Hopefully, you'll be able to learn something from this video today on what not to do, because I am the prime example of what not to do right now, and I'm going to explain from head to toe the beginning of this process, how the purchasing from Japan on a Japanese auction site, all kind of the pitfalls that fall into play there, and also what happened and why it was a bad purchase in the end. We are going to examine the original listing, and you guys can let me know where I screwed up. There's definitely some red flags in the listing going back and not looking at it with rose-colored glasses, but I'm going to kind of show you what I saw. We'll go through the images, we'll go through the listing itself, and I'll kind of explain where my mind was at when I decided to purchase this thing. All right, let's jump into it. Recently, I've really gotten into kind of the Japanese Pokemon card market. I really like the fact that most of the cards are in much better condition and they age better over time. So you can find a lot of older Japanese holographic cards from, base set and Jungle and Fossil and Team Rocket and all that stuff at really pretty good condition, where I feel like it's harder to find a lot of those near mint holographic conditions in English. And if you do find them in English, usually they're more expensive than the Japanese cards. I've just had a lot of fun going through and buying those Japanese cards recently. So I've been watching a lot of Pokemon card content on YouTube, as one does when you're into Pokemon cards. And I've been seeing a lot of these people picking up these amazing cards from Japan, like directly from Japan. So I was like, where are they getting these? Apparently, Yahoo Auctions in Japan, there's some other websites where you can buy stuff directly from Japan and then it gets sent to America. There are some things, though, that I didn't know before purchasing this collection that I wish I did, because I felt like during the transaction there was a point of no return and there was just fees upon fees upon fees coming at me from this website which I bought these cards from. So if you didn't know, when you buy from Japan, it's not really like eBay where you buy something from a seller, you contact the seller, you can do everything directly with the seller. Usually when you buy stuff from like Yahoo Auctions or some of these sites from Japan, you're buying from like a third-party intermediate site. So this one in particular was a site called JAUCE, J-A-U-C-E. The thing that kind of sucks about buying through one of these sites is you have no contact with the seller. When you contact regarding your auction, you're contacting JAWS, you're contacting the third party, and they can't send you extra images, you can't get extra details on condition, you just can't get this information from the third party site, but that's the only people that you can contact. This is why I would say, like, if you want to minimize as much risk as possible and as many fees as possible, you should stick to trying to buy things locally or domestically, especially on like eBay or whatever, where you can directly contact the seller and ask for more pictures of the card if you're worried about something, and you can verify condition before you actually purchase the card. That's a very important thing to do to minimize a lot of the risk you could have purchasing some high value collection or a high value card. All right, now let's go over the actual listing for the auction. The English might be a little bit weird because it had to be translated through like Google's app or whatever. So, not everything translates perfectly, but we'll go through and we'll take a look at everything the way that I saw it. So you can already see this first picture. It's a ridiculous amount of cards. Now, don't really be fooled by this, because all of this stuff is just bulk. All of it is bulk. There's really nothing of value on this half of the image. It's all bulk. And really, that's not that bad, because if you get a lot of bulk, you can just slap it all into a priority box and, get between $100 and $200 for it. So that covers part of what you pay for the actual, auction. Let's see what it says. So it says Pokemon card, old backside, all 263 types, full complete, plus old backside 2,600 sheets, new backside 4,600 sheets. So it's thousands and thousands of cards. And I think when this says sheets, it means cards, basically. I don't know why it doesn't say cards. It's probably just a translation thing. So let's go through the images. I'll show you exactly what I saw and what made this so incredibly enticing to want to buy. So basically, what he is saying here, all 263 cards full complete, is that he has a full set of base set, Jungle, Fossil, and Team Rocket. And then he shows us here in the binders basically the full sets. Now, there's some images that aren't here, but he did at least take pictures of some of the more high value cards that are in these complete sets. So you have Charizard, Venusaur, and Blastoise, Mewtwo, and it's all of them. It's, you know, Dragonite, it's Dark Charizard, Dark Blastoise, all this stuff. Now, this is when it gets real spicy. So, obviously, already, I mean, if these cards were in, you know, PSA 7, PSA 8 condition, that's already worth the amount of money that I spent just in these full sets. But once we get to this binder is when everything gets a little more enticing, and this is what really tipped the scales for me on picking this up. So there's some promo cards here that are Japanese exclusive. There's a Versus Karen's Umbreon. That is a very expensive card. Just raw, but if you grade it PSA 7, PSA 8, it's pretty up there. It's pretty expensive. You also have a CD promo Venusaur. These CD promo cards are, you know, pretty pricey too. We have a Masaki Machamp. Masaki was a promo card that you actually had to send in a Machoke and some sort of like Bill's trade card into Pokemon Center, and they would send you back the Masaki Machamp. It was a very cool way to kind of illustrate the trading in game, but also in the card game, which is pretty awesome. These are pretty valuable as well in a PSA 7 or 8. And also this Mewtwo, I think it was a Game Boy promo as well. That pretty high value in a 7 or 8. And then on top of that, you have two Shining Korokoro Mews, very expensive in a 7 or 8. A Lugia. As you can see, like, if you just take a look at this binder here, there's lots of potential for quite a bit of value. And this is what kind of tipped me over the edge, because not only am I getting this binder, which obviously is a lot of value just in the cards in this binder, I'm also getting full sets of the first 4 sets in Japanese. Full sets, all the holographics, everything. So to me, this was a no-brainer. This was like, yeah, it comes with all the bulk, whatever. I can just sell all the bulk very quickly. But unfortunately, we're going to get to why this wasn't maybe the best purchase I've ever made. I was looking at this very much with rose-colored glasses. I was very excited. We'll go through all the bulk here as well. This is all old back bulk. All of it is vintage WotC bulk. All of it. That's all bulk from the vintage WotC era. I mean, it's just a massive collection. This is all new back stuff. This is all just bulk. It's pretty, you know, not very valuable. So at the end of the day, like, you take a look at those pictures, you're like, damn. And even at the price that it was at, it was like, holy shit, this is really enticing. I should really think about this, because this could be a really good opportunity. So let's go down and look at the description. Let's translate the description to English. Okay, this is when it starts to get a little... This is when I started to look at it and say, but, well, maybe, and start to make excuses for the fact that this could be one of the best purchases I ever make in my Pokemon, you know, buying and selling and grading and flipping and all that, you know, investment history. It says in the binders of the second and third photo. So it basically goes through by photos, and it's telling you kind of what is there, right? The thing that I want to jump to is this, because he talks about description. So this is the paragraph that threw me off, and I'm going to explain why it threw me off. You can call me an idiot. You can say whatever you want about this purchase, that it's all my fault. I know that it's all my fault. I get it. I know. But I'm going to explain, when I read this, what I kind of translated it as myself. Being someone who's sold large lots of things in the past, video games, cards, all sorts of things, I'm going to explain my thought process going into this particular paragraph. It says, although it is in the state of the card, meaning that card conditions vary per card, which, yes, true. I tried to avoid ones with big wrinkles, but it may be mixed. So he said that he actively tried to avoid putting any cards in here that have big wrinkles. And in my opinion, a wrinkle would be a crease, right? Or like major damage, creases, you know, peeling on the cards, something like that, you know. And then after that, he kind of contradicts himself immediately by saying some cards are very beautiful, but some cards have burns, white spots, scratches, etc. Okay, so he is saying that he tried to avoid putting any cards in here with big wrinkles, but maybe some got in. Some cards are very beautiful, but some might be burned, white spots, scratches, etc. And then he says, to prevent complaints, please consider all cards for play. So he's already contradicted himself a couple of times, saying that, well, some are beautiful, but some have issues. And I avoided putting any creased or wrinkled cards in, but there might be a couple. And then on top of that, he says, to prevent complaints, please consider all cards for play. Now, I've done this in the past, selling large lots of video games, large lots of cards. Basically, what this is saying I can't guarantee that all the cards are of the same condition, so I'm just going to put this as a blanket statement. I don't want you to complain, so consider all cards in played condition. Now, played condition contradicts, in a way, some of the stuff that he set up here. So there's a large mixture of things going on in his description of condition. It's saying some of them are great, but some of them might also be totally messed up. I tried my best to do well, but they might all be bad. So it was really a gamble on my part on whether or not any of these cards would show up in decent condition. The other thing that I don't like very much about this is the images. So the images are here to show as much as possible, but there aren't any that really show you condition. There aren't any that get close enough to the cards to really say, hey, this Charizard has a giant scratch in the back that probably would make it, PSA 3, 4, whatever. You're not going to see that because it's too far away. You can't tell really if it has any edge wear, scratches on hollow, anything. But you would think that a seller who wanted to be upfront and honest would take all these cards out, all the high value cards. He obviously understands which cards are high value. He would pull the high values out and show them in a much closer up image of each of the high value cards and say, this is what you can expect from most of the hollows in this lot. I did take these images out. I did zoom them up, especially looking at the back. You can see parts of the backs of the images here on the left side of the images. I did try and take a look to see if I could see any whitening. Honestly, the images are just too small. It's too hard to tell. It is difficult to tell any whitening or condition descriptions just because the images are too small. So I decided with all of that information that this guy couldn't possibly be selling all of these cards in terrible condition, and he seems like a collector who's really put a lot of thought into his collection and put all these high value cards together. And in my opinion, it was the opinion of, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to take a chance on this guy. I'm going to trust that this guy is not trying to absolutely just dupe me and send me all of his doubles that are in terrible condition, which is, I think, exactly what happened. I think this guy probably has a massive collection, and he sent me a lot of his doubles that are in terrible condition. And now we're going to go over some of the conditions of the cards in which I got. So we'll start with the most expensive card of the bunch, or one of the most expensive cards of the bunch, the Karen's Umbreon. Now, some of you guys have probably already spotted it, but we'll start by looking at the front of the card. Let me see if I can capture it. And this light is actually really helping us. So you can see, just by looking at that the entire card is bent and warped. And you can see that right there is a crease, and right there is a giant dent. This probably will become more apparent on the back. Just look at it. Just look at it. It's completely like, it's just destroyed. I mean, this entire section of the card is just destroyed. I don't even know how they would grade this, but it's so messed up. And I've actually had this underneath, heavy objects for the last 4 days, trying to straighten it out. And it's just not happening. I remember he did say he tried his best to remove all of the wrinkles. He tried his best, you guys, to remove all of the wrinkles. Well, there's another crease right there on Dark Blastoise. We got another crease that goes all the way in to nearly a third of the card. Absolutely wrecked. The hollow is completely scratched. You can actually see all the dirt and stuff on his face, it is just absolutely, again, demolished. The card's demolished. The crease is terrible. It's dirty. It's got scratches all over it. It is its corners peeling. It's rough. There we go. Base set Japanese Charizard. One of the other cards that in a, fairly decent PSA grade would be a lot of the money back on this purchase. And look at that corner. Look at that corner. It looks like someone, I don't know, scraped a fork to it, or a dog had it in its mouth and the owner like ripped it out or something. I don't even know how to explain how you would look at that. Look at just it's like it was folded over and then like multiple times and then refolded back out. On top of that, obviously, look at that. We have more up here. Look at that. Look at that. That is just completely, I don't know how this happened, how they made that happen. We got another corner that is peeling over as well. You can see that was bent over at one point. And yeah, I mean, it's like I again, like, I don't even know, but this is this isn't even, I know I'm only showing a select few cards. This is every holo that he sent that was old back is in this condition. They have creases, they have dents, they have bends, they have scratches, they're dirty, every one. And, to me, as a person who tries to be as honest as possible in every, sale and transaction that I try to do on eBay, I always respond to comments with more pictures. If they need more, if they have any questions about the condition, anything, I always do my best to try and make sure that people understand what they're buying before they buy it. This guy didn't try at all to actually display condition, especially of the more high value cards. And it's really unfortunate. So this Misaki promo on the front looks pretty decent. On the front looks pretty good. That's not terrible. It's off center, but whatever. It's pretty decent. We get it to the back, and we have edge wear. That's pretty bad there. That's almost like a peel or a dent there. But overall, I mean, the Misaki promo looks okay. I feel like it has the Misaki mark. Yeah, you could see it a little better on top. Maybe if I can catch it. You see that? There's like a little dent there, and you can kind of see it like goes up like this. Basically, when Pokemon Center sent these cards back, they sent them in like little paper envelope things that held the cards on the edges. And I guess if you didn't take the card out of that immediately after you got it, that there is a specific mark that happened on all the Misaki promos, that little Misaki mark. And most of the Misaki cards with the Misaki mark do not get very high grades. But it's incredibly rare to actually get Misaki promos at a high grade, and they do hold quite a bit of value at higher grades. Last but not least, we'll take a look at probably one of my favorite cards I've ever seen. I love this Shining Mew Coral promo card. Just look at the holographic on this. Absolutely stunning cards. I got two of them now, but unfortunately, they're in pretty rough shape as well, just like all the other cards that were sent to me. So as you can see, maybe there's lots of scratches on the holo. It's really hard to tell with that just insane holographic pattern, but there is quite a few scratches on the holo. There's also quite a bit of edge wear on all of the edges of these cards, on both of the, I think this one might be the least good of the two. I think the other one might be slightly better than this, but overall, I mean, pretty rough shape for these cards. All right, guys, so those were 4 really good examples of what every single card of value in this collection looked like. Every single one. Every single card has a dent, a bunch of scratches, a bunch of corner wear, a bunch of, just absolutely demolished cards. They're all rough, and they all of them, if I sent them to PSA, I think I would get lucky if I got a 6 on all of them. So it's almost not even worth sending a lot of the cards in, just because even at a 4, they lose a ton of their value. You might as well sell them raw. So right now I am scrambling. I'm just trying to make my money back, and it's going to become a really frustrating situation very quickly. Really unfortunate, actually. You know, I'm just kind of sad about it because a lot of these cards, if they were in decent condition, I have doubles for a lot of these cards. So a lot of these cards were going to get graded, they were going to get sold. I was going to make my money back, and then a lot of this stuff was going to just bolster my already growing collection. So I was really excited to add a lot of these beautiful cards into my own collection. It wasn't necessarily about making a profit. It was about selling enough to cover my butt and then put all the rest of them in my collection so that I have doubles in the future when I buy more collections. So that was kind of the point. I was really excited to get all these cards in and to just bolster my collection. And now I'm struggling because I'm going to have to sell them all, which sucks, just to try and make my money back on a purchase of which I probably shouldn't have done, just based on all the red flags in the listing that I see now, looking back. So you're probably asking, like, well, on eBay, if something shows up and it's not in the condition you expected, you can reach out to the seller. You can open a case. You can get a refund, all this stuff. Well, not on this site. On eBay, and kind of the culture in the West when it comes to buying and selling, the customer is always right? So there's been lots of times where I have sold video games to people, retro games, where they work completely fine, perfectly fine. I sell it to the people, they get it in, I put no returns in my description, and when they get it, apparently it no longer works when they've probably just found a better price somewhere and they want to return it to me. So then they return it back, I plug it in, it works again, and there's no recourse I have when someone does that. And I lose out on a final value fee because of that, because they open a case, I then have to pay for the shipping to send it back to me, and I kind of get screwed in there, right? As the seller, because eBay typically will default to siding with the buyer. And in a way, it kind of makes sense. Sometimes as a seller, it can be annoying, especially in those circumstances where you know there's nothing wrong with your product and they want to return it saying that something's wrong. Now with Joss, at least, and I've heard from, you know, other people who buy, you know, on eBay auctions and other sites like Buy and stuff, they tend to just care what the seller says, because they're at the end of the day, they're just a third party facilitating the sale. So if the seller says anything, they don't even let you contact the seller, first of all. And I don't think probably they would let me return this, because I did reach out to them. And we can take a look at what they said to me when I reached out to them and told them that I felt like the transaction was slightly dishonest. I outlined in all the ways in which I feel like the seller was very contradictory and not very upfront about their descriptions, especially when it comes to condition. And I let them know that I thought it was a bit of a dishonest sale. I thought the pictures were a bit misleading, not showing any kind of closer up photos of some of the more valuable cards, and that the not being able to reach out to the seller in the process of buying was not ideal. And this is what I got back from them. So I sent in a condition complaint. And I just told him, every single high value card in this lot is either bent or in played condition. He claims that some cards are beautiful, yet I have yet to find a single card of any significant value that would be considered beautiful. Strategically non-zoomed images to not be able to determine obviously beaten up card conditions. Now, that is kind of an inference on my part. I don't know if he specifically did not want to zoom in on any of the cards because he knew, you know, if people knew what the actual conditions of the cards were, they wouldn't buy it. I don't know if that was me a little frustrated in the moment and making a claim that I couldn't back up with any evidence. But it did seem very interesting that he has cards in here that are worth like $500 and didn't think to take closer up images of them at all, especially when the auction price is very large. You would think that you'd want to be upfront and honest and show what actual conditions of the expensive cards are or would be. I said that I thought that the listing in some ways was dishonest, and the amount of money that I spent and the amount of fees that I had to pay during the transaction period, I was not happy with the end result. And so at this point, you would think, okay, so the buyer isn't happy. If this was eBay, eBay would try and make things right. I don't think they would just brush off what you have to say. But here's the response that I got. Hello, Tyler. Thank you for your feedback. We are sorry that the item does not meet your expectations. Please let us know if you have any further questions or assistance. Joss support team. That's it. That's it. Like, sorry, but we don't care. we don't care. We're not going to do anything for you. We're not going to reach out to the seller. We're not going to investigate this at all. You can't open a case. Sucks to be you, bro. You took the risk, and now you get to deal with it. I guess at the end of the day, this is just a PSA telling you guys, I know that Japanese cards are getting more and more popular, and you might be interested in checking out a lot of these Japanese sites where you can get, Yahoo Japan auctions and Rakuten and Amazon Japan and all this stuff, and you can buy Japanese products through these kind of third-party sites that facilitate the transaction between you and another country. And just be careful, because at the end of the day, they don't care about you. They care about their sellers. They don't seem to really care much whether or not you are happy with the transaction. They only care to facilitate the transaction, and that's it. So just be careful. If you see something, again, the old adage that I, for some reason, can't ever just put in my mind and say, you know what? If it's too good to be true, it probably is. And you know why? You know why I can't put that in my vocabulary? Because there's been so many times where the too good to be true has been too good. And it's true. Like the other collection I just bought, or some of the collections I've bought of retro video games. Years ago, I spent $1,200 on a collection. A retro video game store had gone out of business, and he was selling off his entire inventory for $1,200. And it was between $10,000 and $20,000 worth of product that I got for $1,200. That shit is the reason why I take chances on these things, because a lot of times they work out, but sometimes they don't. And right now, this is kind of the first chance that I've taken on a big purchase that just shot me right in the butt. And it sucks. So learn from me. Don't make the same mistakes. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Just be careful out there when you're buying, and honestly when you're selling. These big money transactions can get kind of hairy, especially when you're meeting people in person. So just be careful, buying, selling, whatever. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.